Serafini, the founder, creator, and CEO of Positive Prime Technology. Thank you so very much for being here. It is an honor, privilege, and pleasure. You're in the right place if you are ready to experience something truly extraordinary. And I don't use that word lightly. This really is revolutionary, unique, rare, precious, world-class, and absolutely amazing. So hang in there and lean in so that I can explain to you exactly what, why, how, when, with respect to one of the most exquisite tools that you can use to experience profound, meaningful peace. A deep sense of gratitude and appreciation for yourself and your life, and indeed others, those that you love, those that you work with, those that you contribute to. And so that you also enjoy the journey as you strive and thrive in transforming your dreams into realities. This is for real people with real lives who've actually got real opportunities and also real experiences, skills, gifts, talents, obstacles and challenges. You know, the normal, everyday, average, real existence that we live. And how do we actually go way beyond and much farther than we ever imagined? And is it possible? Well, I can tell you absolutely it is. So I talk about this workshop being about quantum achievement, which is about achieving your goals, your dreams, your wishes, your desires, your wants and your needs in a way that actually allows you to frog leap over anything that's sabotaging you right now or keeping you stuck, or any of your self-limiting beliefs, and the ways in which we minimize who we are and the way that we buy into either our own imposter syndrome or something like that. So hold on tight. We're about to actually explore lots really fast. I know it's going to be worth it. I really do. Not only has my life completely changed positively in 1,000 different ways, I've now got tens of thousands of stories from early members for whom the subtle shifts or the profound transformations have rocked their socks, blown their minds, burst open their hearts, and given them more than they ever dared hope for, even for those who'd actually lost hope. So, thank you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about who I am and why should you even listen to me, and what's going to be in it for you inside a few relatively short moments in the grand scheme of things. I think that most people spend hours and hours, sometimes very subconsciously or in the back of their minds, hours and hours and hours every single day worrying about how to get what it is that they want, or in fact, how to get what it is that you truly need. And very few people actually invest a few moments every day really diving into what it is that you truly desire, want, and need, and why that's significant. And we have right now technology in the Positive Prime software that I'm presenting and explaining to you that changes the game, not only for yourself and for those that you work with and those that you care about, and not only just in your personal life but also in your professional life. So let's discover why a lot of people don't achieve what it is that they set out to achieve, and how is it that their brains and their minds, which are two slightly different concepts but we'll mix and merge them, and why it is that our thinking and our feeling and the connections with our consciousness cells in our heart and also in our stomach, actually how do they play a role? Alrighty, so we're going to introduce lots of potentially new concepts from positive psychology and neuroscience, these incredible breakthroughs in research that we can now apply, that we have applied, that now tens of thousands of people have applied, and you can too, really in a very simple, fast way. So, what is positive prime? And I've got a few little tips and hints here for me to actually just look at. What is positive prime? It's actually a whole body of scientific study, all in and of and by itself. And the way that we're actually exploring it and leveraging it or harnessing it for ourselves, for each other, for you, is we're actually focusing on what does positive priming mean in terms of what happens inside your brain, what happens to your mind, consciousness, other than consciousness, subconsciousness, unconsciousness, beyond consciousness, what happens really in your thinking. And I'm going to go all the way out to the edges of what we really discuss when we talk about this, because we know scientifically these days that you have thinking cells, mind cells, consciousness cells in your heart and in your stomach as well. We know that from a sensory stimulus point of view, you actually see with more than your eyes, and yet we're going to talk about how the retina in your eyes processes photographs in a particular kind of way that impacts the mirror neurons, which is actually structures and functions of your brain are going to be engaged to stimulate your endocrine system. So hormonally, you're going to produce more neurotransmitters. They're things that really make your brain fire up and your mind work more beautifully. So there's a lot that we're going to go through, but ultimately it's going to be about how do you get what it is that you want, and why it is so important for you to get more clear about what it is that you truly want and need, and how a particular software is going to make it so much easier for you to live the life of your dreams, so much easier. And what you will be able to do will be at a speed that is astonishing, okay? At Positive Prime, we're often asked, who is Positive Prime? What is Positive Prime? Who are you? What do you do? Well, to answer it in a kind of different way, we're really a digital disruption, I suppose, as Uber was to taxis or Airbnb was to the accommodation industry. And we're a digital disruption to the time-honored goal-setting and motivation industry that celebrates self-improvement, professional development, happiness or the pursuit of happiness, and success. We're actually an advance on the age-old, now it's 20 years in the making, emotional intelligence techniques that develop resilience in people, in you and me, in everyday, average, normal people. So Positive Prime really presents proven, scientifically researched and proven, audiovisual programs that we call sessions that result in a positive and engaged brain, leading to performance improvements. If you're after the peak and being in flow, then you're in the right place. This digital intervention that we call a Positive Prime session accelerates learning. It actually, interestingly enough, also helps you to remember more, retain more, and recall more easily, which is fascinating. It also delivers beneficial behavioral changes. It's much easier to create transformation in healthy habits if that's what you're aiming for. And it promotes goal achievement. By leveraging positive psychology, neuroscience, change management theory, and software. The programs are actually experienced, as I'm sure you may already know, as flowing slideshows. That's what we call a session. And each and every single one of our programs or sessions are carefully curated and precisely formulated. There are specific images or photographs, positive statements that are like self-fulfilling prophecies, affirmations, incantations, beautiful, incredible mantras, prayers, instructions, suggestions, advice, recommendations, summaries of some of the best ideas or philosophies, principles, or concepts presented in some of the excellent self-help books about how do you lead, how do you excel, how do you become magnetic, how do you sell more, how do you become persuasive and influential, and I could go on and on and on for hundreds of topics. There's also really interesting music. So I think that the foundation is that positive prime programs or sessions are actually delivered via a proprietary player. Yes, it's special, unique, precious, and protected by us, and I invented them. I actually have done decades of research. We'll go into a little bit of that. Our player actually facilitates a unique experience that has been researched to positively prime you and me, all of us, and have the impact or the effects last for at least 6 to 8 hours. And these sessions are really bite-sized lessons that are available to you, and they're also really affordable. So what we're doing is so sophisticated, and yet there's this beautiful simplicity that people actually don't usually understand what's going on behind the scenes and why in fact it works. So what I know is that those of us who are positively primed are happier, we perform at higher and better rates and paces, we make more accurate decisions faster, we're more resourceful, we're more resilient, and I don't know about you, but there are lots of ways that I wanted to change. I would read an amazing biography by somebody who was super successful and I'd think, oh wow, I would like to adopt that way of being, their character, their habits, their personality traits, and so forth. For example, positive prime has actually really helped me to break through and go beyond procrastination. I used to be a terrible procrastinator, and now I am most certainly not. There's actually inbuilt programming inside each one of our sessions that actually help us all to be really fantastic at taking proactive steps, really being in massive action that's intentional and positive. And I could go on and on and on. I used to be outrageously impatient, but I'm actually not anymore. And it's not just about the evolution or the enlightenment journey that I've been on. And it's not actually just because I'm more mature or because I'm, 10 years older than I was or 20 years older than I was when I started my personal development or self-improvement journey. It's actually because this particular science of positive priming is absolutely wonderful, but it also works. So I would like to actually just digress a little bit to explain to you a little bit about who I am and where I've come from and what has really allowed me to be able to create something like the Positive Prime platform, and why it's important and why it is just absolutely perfect for this day and age. As a young woman, I graduated from business school in Australia, and I had this belief that to really make it and to be incredible, I had to survive and then flourish in London and New York. And so off I set overseas to live and work. And it was really an incredibly fortuitous and, I think, spiritual journey, but I didn't know it at the time. I was incredibly lucky. I was in the right place at the right time with the right mentors, and I actually had the right kinds of opportunities that I seized, that I said yes to. And I'm not going to share any of this because I want to impress you, but impress upon you that I've had a really wild pathway to travel. there's been lots of ups and downs. But what actually is interesting with respect to why Positive Prime will work for you is because it's not only worked for me, it's worked for tens of thousands of our earliest members. The truth is that I left the consulting world after spending a really intense amount of time. I was ostensibly involved in leadership consulting, change management consulting, and mergers and acquisitions in the corporate world. And I did actually spend some time living and working in both North America and the United Kingdom and Europe. And I actually went to an Anthony Robbins Life Mastery University program in Geneva, and it began really a very interesting year of studying and deep dive. Anthony Robbins, or Tony Robbins as people know, he's full on, and so is his program, and I loved it. It actually helped me to develop my full potential as a change management consultant in the mergers and acquisitions field. But it also was the catalyst for me moving out of an organizational context. And I went back and studied and qualified as a sports therapist in the United Kingdom. It wasn't long before I ended up inventing what is now known as hot stone massage through something called lithotherapy. And I was one of the first people, this is a very long time ago, to actually create a DVD. Like, this isn't the original, remember when we used to put these in, and a little guidebook. And I trained thousands of massage therapists, beauty therapists, spa therapists all over the world. I set up distributorships in India and in Singapore and in New Zealand, and I could go on and on and on. The point is that I ended up with like 500 really elite health retreats, beauty salons, spas, massage clinics, natural therapy, functional medicine oriented types of environments as licensees or franchisees. It was a wild business to be in. I invested in a skincare and a teeth whitening product, and I also invested in all sorts of other weird and wild and wonderful products or services that I could deliver through the distribution model that I had really created. And what's interesting about this is that I was invited to Ananda in the Himalayas, or the Himalayas in the northern part of India, and it was just one of the most beautiful experiences of my entire life. And I went to train Ayurvedic doctors and therapists and so forth. But what happened there was that in a meditation, looking out over those majestic mountains, I realized how magnificent I am. And I hope that if you haven't already, one day very soon, you have this incredible experience where you realize just how extraordinary you are. And I realized that I had taken so much for granted in my life. And I had this incredible message really start to resonate inside my body. And it was that whatever we take for granted gets taken from us. And I was like, whoa, that's a really, really intense message to get. And what if it's true? And so I did a really huge amount of study into gratitude. This is well over 15 years ago. What transpired was that I ended up writing a beautiful gift book that I sold through all of those spas and salons and clinics and health retreats, and it was all about gratitude. And along came a very famous movie that we now all know, and maybe we've heard of, called The Secret. And I really didn't understand what the law of attraction was before then. But I'd been exposed to quantum physics through the movie What the Bleep Do We Know? That was actually a movie that was really a favorite of therapists in the spa industry. And in case you don't know, spa means salas per aqua in Latin, which actually means health through water. So, the spa environment was really about, you can imagine now, Turkish baths where you go and you lie on a heated marble slab in a sauna or steam room, and then you have manual manipulation of your muscles. And then of course there were the Roman baths thousands of years ago, or taking the waters. When you think about all of these mineral hot springs all over the world. And I could go on and on and on and on about the spa industry. But there are a couple of principles and practices, techniques and secrets I learned from my fellow therapists in the spa industry that are the reasons why positive prime sessions actually do work scientifically, and they have been proven. Because the formula I created was actually arising out of all of the insights that I had developed as I actually went on this journey of not only publishing a book and having it available for sale, but also becoming a best-selling author, and then being invited to speak over and over and over again in a vast variety of environments for all sorts of different kinds of reasons. And there is incredible scientific research done about gratitude, and I was like a nerd or a geek, and I consumed everything I could possibly ever put my hands on about the science and the psychology of gratitude. So it's interesting because I actually became really a world expert on gratitude. And I'm not saying that it hasn't been around as 5,000 years of practice from Hindus or Buddhists or these kinds of Eastern traditions, or these rituals that are about the kinds of healing practices we see throughout Asia and South America and through the Middle East and Africa. And I'm not saying that gratitude or, thankfulness or appreciation or the science of this is anything new to the Christians who have been counting their blessings, or indeed to Americans who for a very long time have had Thanksgiving, which is not a usual practice for a lot of us down under in Australia. But what's incredible is that even though I grew up as a Catholic and I had an incredible religious education, I didn't actually internalize this experience of deep and profound appreciation, true, sincere, genuine thankfulness for who I am, my skills, my gifts, my talents, for the world, for Mother Earth, for our environment, for each other, for the experiences that I had been gifted with on this journey called life. And so inside every single positive prime session, there is actually inbuilt gratitude exercises based on the science and the psychology of gratitude that actually helps us all to become a lot more cognizant in living and experiencing appreciation and thankfulness. And I met a man named Professor Stephen G. Post who explained to me that when we experience this really full-bodied, open heart, open mind gratefulness, we actually increase oxygen absorption out of our blood system. So from a circulatory calisthenics point of view, it's actually a really good idea to experience this emotion. But it can't be intellectualized. It can't be, oh, I'm really thankful for my parents, I'm really thankful for my children, I'm really thankful for the roof over my head and the food in my mouth, and it's almost a little bit glib. It has to be embodied. You have to feel it in order for it to have the kind of benefits to your body, the physiological positives, okay? And I'm gonna say that about almost every one of the incredible emotions that are good for us. See, when I did all of this study about gratitude, I also came across Dr. Barbara Fredrickson and her broaden and build theory. So I want to talk a little bit about that because it's actually something you need to understand and harness and leverage if you want to have quantum achievements way beyond your wildest imagination to be reality for you in this lifetime, like now and soon, okay? So buckle up if you've unbuckled, dive in, lean in, and we're actually going to go into a lot more that is, I think, fascinating, and I hope you will find it really interesting too. But beyond that, I want you to apply it in your life. So there's no more wishing, okay? You have an incredible power within you, a genius within you, and I want to help you develop it and then use it. Not only for your own benefit, of course, that too, but for others as well, as you serve and lead and contribute and have fun and be playful and lighthearted. What I can tell you is the broaden and build theory is really interesting because it's about how when we experience positive emotions, our brains behave in entirely different beautiful, magnificent ways. And we can see it through brain scans. And there are labs all over the world that have been looking at this, exploring, researching, doing incredible studies, publishing them. And then, of course, the media's been picking them up and they're really shared widely now, but it wasn't 15 or 20 or 12 or 10 or 8 years ago even. Mind you, when I first started the I Am Grateful Club with a whole heap of little video interviews with world-class famous authors, YouTube didn't even exist, right? So I've been doing this for a little while now. So anyway, what's interesting is that there are aspects of your brain that are responsible for creativity. And when you're in these really highly charged, full-bodied, intense, turn the volume up, make it super juicy, really rich emotions, then areas of your brain start to actually light up as if it's like this spectacular tropical thunderstorm with lots of lightnings happening, and that's inside your brain. And the areas of your brain that help you to think clearly and be calm and centered and balanced, they're all enhanced when you experience positive emotions. So I started to experiment, explore, and create ways to help me generate these very positive emotions, and in a way that I could be absolutely sure that it would work. Now, what's interesting is inside a positive prime session, there are lots of very carefully curated photographs or images, as I've explained to you. And you commingle those with personal images that you've uploaded. And there are really important reasons why. And when you are a subscriber and you're paying one of the monthly amounts to access additional functionality and extra features, one of those is actually the editing function that allows you to upload your own photographs and integrate them into any one of our sessions. And there are reasons why you absolutely want to do that, and why it's essential, like critical, if you're serious about achieving your goals and about you actually breaking through the habits that have been holding you back and developing new, much more empowering, much more expansive habits, okay? So gratitude is one of the highest level emotions, which is why I really focus on it. There are lots of other positive emotions, of course, like joy and love. So long as it's unconditional self-love first, like real, lived, so that we're actually walking our talk, self-love. And there are lots of consequences and implications and flow-through effects from some of these positive emotions. From a goal achievement point of view, if you are a fan of the law of attraction and other laws like the law of reciprocity and so forth, you actually believe in quantum physics, when we are in these expansive states, we're actually also accessing or allowing, receiving, giving and receiving with a universal divine energy. And we know from brain scans these days with very fancy machines, lots of other incredible truths. And that is that our brains work in a different way to help us, to support us, to assist us, to enable us to actually achieve our goals more efficiently and more effectively when we are in positive emotional states. Okay? So a lot of people who decide what it is that they really want and need, and then they really think about why that's important to them, and they connect it with their purpose and their mission and their passion. And then they do the work on excavating, okay, so what are the resources that I've got right here and right now that are actually going to facilitate my abilities and my capacity to actually achieve what it is that I want? Well, those people, in some cases, they create dream boards or vision boards. And one of the biggest problems with that is that we have 50 to 80,000 thoughts a day. Scientists have actually studied our thinking and our thought patterns and so forth, and they know that for the average normal person like you and me as early adults or in midlife, around about 50 to 60% of those thoughts are negative, and they're persistent, and they're damaging, really destructive, and they repeat over and over and over again, and almost 50 to 60% of our everyday thoughts are very similar to our thoughts yesterday, last week, last month, last year. And most of us are actually stuck. Now, there are lots of studies or research programs about how do you get someone unstuck and how do you make sure that that's enduring. And of course, I had exposure to all of that early in my corporate consulting as a change management specialist. And I also got to see it as a sports therapist about why, when someone's diagnosed with, for example, diabetes, why do they radically change their diet, cut out all carbs, totally have an incredible and very dedicated approach to managing their blood sugar, and they also explore intermittent fasting, and I could go on and on and on. And then they can maintain that, they can actually sustain that, and they can almost medically reverse diabetes. And why is it that somebody who is faced with something life-threatening, like is a chronic smoker and has a heart attack and doesn't give up smoking, right? What is it about people? Why is it that some of us will do what we know we should or would or could do, and why some of us actually won't do what we know, what we actually really know, right? What is it about human beings and change? Well, the exciting thing is that change is 1 billion times, if not 1 trillion times easier today. And it's enabled through technologies like Positive Prime. It's not the only one, and sometimes we can actually add complements or supplements that actually make it more powerful. But in the first instance, the important thing to know is that we're actually in a new era. And the future of coaching and mentoring and change management is here because technology and what we now understand from the fields of science is really giving us for the first time genuine hope that we can grasp, okay? So one of the things I've alluded to is that a Positive Prime session is actually really about applying what we understand from studies that people like Dr. Barbara Fredrickson have done. And what we know is that if we show you a certain number of particular smiles that are warm and welcoming and genuine and sincere, that science actually calls a Duchenne smile, if we show you those kinds of smiles, the retina in your eyes is actually going to process through your mirror neurons in your brain and send messages to your endocrine system, and hormonally you'll start to produce more neurotransmitters, endorphins, things like oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin, and your brain is actually going to function more efficiently, more effectively, more beautifully. You're going to think in totally unique ways. The broaden and build theory is about actually also lots of other flow-on effects, like, peripheral vision expanding and so forth. So what we know is that when we experience cognitive stress, like when we're really worried and anxious and fearful, parts of our brain actually shut down. And some of it has to do with our prefrontal cortex. You may have heard that, that's here. And it's our executive functioning. It's lots of our analytical and critical thinking. And when we're in these incredibly open, expansive, really divine experiences of gratitude and love and joy and so forth, and playfulness and lightheartedness and cheerfulness and optimism and enthusiasm, and I could go on and on and on. What happens is that we actually quieten down that part of our brain called the amygdala, which is what holds us in fright, flight, or freezing. And that's actually because we're human and we have this reptilian part of our brain, very ancient part of our brain that's trying to protect us and keep us in survival, like literally helping us to live. We have that part of the brain quietening down, which actually gives us access to more resources, and we can actually have an increased repertoire of responses. You've actually heard this all the time. Some people trigger us and best not react. One must respond. It's very difficult though, unless you're in a positively primed state. So I wanted to create a tool or experience, an intervention that was emotionally evocative, that actually allowed us very quickly to access some of these more resourceful states in a positively primed way of being. And one of those is to present lots of photographs of Duchenne smiles. But that's just one of about 17 aspects. And there are lots of other videos that are available to you as a special member or a subscriber of Positive Prime. So you can actually learn a lot more about all of the other ingredients in the formula. I'll give you maybe one or two others. There are a certain number of photographs that are about green tree canopy and images that induce awe, as in AWE. When we are experiencing the awe-inspiring emotion, what actually happens is that the proteins that are involved in our immune system functioning, and most people have heard about cytokines, haven't they? The cytokine storm of the COVID virus, etc. That was not something that, general public actually had ever heard about or ever were going to hear about until very recently. So when you see lots of green tree canopy, you actually have a different reaction going on, like a different chemical cocktail being created inside your body. And interestingly enough, it's really good for your immune system and actually does impact the production of cytokines. And there are incredible labs at like the University of California, San Francisco, and Berkeley who've been doing some of this research. There are lots of others all over the world as well. So we actually introduce to you, as the images are flowing, a certain number of green tree canopy images. Now they have to be precise, so 70% of the photograph has to be the green tree canopy, or green, in order for it to have an impact. There are other aspects that we built into the formula around round, circular shapes. Our body actually processes shapes in particular ways. It has impacts on our well-being and our health and the way that we perform and behave and so forth. So we take all of that into account, and we actually have in each and every single one of our programs all of the ingredients necessary to ensure that you're positively primed. And there are 2 or 3 other aspects to the secret sauce. So a lot of people who create vision boards, they actually only have around about 50 to 100 images or photographs. And that's not nearly enough, because you've got 50 to 80,000 thoughts a day. You've got to actually overpower or override about 20 to 30,000 of those automatic negative thoughts every single day. And in order to do that, to cut it, for there actually to be an influence or impact, you need a lot more than 50 to 100 photographs, to be honest with you, about your vision board. And so an average Positive Prime program does have 1,000 flashcards that are flowing in front of you effortlessly, gracefully, wonderfully, right? But you need at least 1,000 if you want this to work. And I don't know about you, but I want it to work. It's important to me. It's really important to me that what I do works, okay? And that what we provide to you works, actually works, like for real people with real lives. Do I make that point clear enough? So one of the interesting things is that we have so many different pieces of content in our platform on so many different subjects and topics. And one of the reasons why is because we know to actually influence our habitual ways of thinking, our brain needs novelty. And that's actually one of the incredible insights that we now understand from the field of neuroscience about the way that our brains actually do work when we are performing tasks that are somewhat complex or routine. Okay, so I know I'm giving you a lot here, but it's because I believe in you, I believe in me, and I wanted to break through me. Okay, so we've got a lot more to go through, and I want this to be very practical as well. Okay, so let's get there, shall we? One of the special components of a positive prime session is actually about the proprietary player that takes all 1,000 of those flashcards in a standard program and reshuffles them randomly every single time you view it. And there is a fundamental aspect for the way that it causes new neurons to fire and wire together, and why that actually facilitates and accelerates positive, successful, enduring change. Change that is actually positive and successful and enduring. Okay? So, I've explained this a lot in some of the webinars that I do, but I think it's important to go over again. Let's just say that you have an association between two things that isn't really working. I'll give you an example. An abundance of money is flowing to me easily. If that's one of your mantras or affirmations and that feels a little bit uneasy and it's a little unfamiliar and it's actually untrue, there isn't an abundance of money actually flowing to you effortlessly and gracefully and easily and quickly. And now your brain, because of lots of other concepts, and some of them we could go into like cognitive dissonance, is going to fight that particular statement. You're going to argue with it and you're not going to allow it in. If you see that phrase on one of the flashcards, and you also see something that really makes you feel expansive, like a beautiful rose, or like a puppy dog, or a horse, or like a majestic mountain, or a beautiful seascape, you're actually going to have the energy or the essence or the emotion of the image that lights you up now attached to that phrase. Now, let's just say that next time you see that phrase, you actually see another photograph that is really meaningful to you, and it's one that you personally uploaded. It's a photograph of you. What happens is that your brain starts to link these different concepts and ideas. It creates more bridges and more possibilities, and it actually literally is what cracks us wide open to possibility thinking and believing that in fact anything is possible. And right now, the past does not equal and does not need to equal the future, that this is a fresh moment and you have a brand new chance to do something different that's actually really going to be great. Okay? Now, if every single time you watch that program, you see all of these different images and positive statements in a different order, you're actually going to create new creative ways of thinking about a subject that you may have had some irkiness or some muckiness or some heaviness around. And it's actually one of the reasons why Positive Prime just so eloquently helps all of us to change our mindsets. It's only one of the ingredients, but it's a very, very, very important ingredient. So for example, if you were to create your own PowerPoint presentation or slideshow with 1,000 really lovely images and really well constructed self-fulfilling prophecies, unless you reshuffle every single one of those slides every single time you watch it, you will not get the neuroplasticity effect, you will not get the appreciative inquiry effect, and you will not be able to break down cognitive dissonance. We go one step further though as well with Positive Prime sessions. That proprietary player has variable speed. And so on a slower speed, you can actually really absorb and indulge in all of the stimuli, in all of what's activating you, in all of what's actually like nutrition for yourself. And then you can speed it up. And when you speed it up, what actually happens is that flies past you and past the conscious critical judgment factors of your prefrontal cortex that's actually usually arguing with any message that you may have rejected before because it didn't feel like it was actually true for you. Now, why is this important? Well, because we want to access our other than consciousness to create in the quantum field, okay? And we do want big potential to be realized. We do want infinite possibilities to actually literally flow in our lives. And we want to have a lot of grace and ease and joy around it all. And it's actually not realistic to think that enduring, successful and positive changes and transformations can even happen if you don't have these two aspects to this intervention, the shuffling and the variable speed. See, if I was to actually tell you, and we'll use the same example, you've just been recently diagnosed pre-diabetic or diabetic, that you no longer could have any foods that spiked your glycemic index. So you might want to watch one of our health and well-being sessions. We've got programs that are really great on nutritional nurturing and on experiencing wonderful wellness and on cellular healing and on being fabulously fit and actually having explosive energy, and I could go on and on and on. But interestingly enough, you might not automatically on autopilot choose foods as medicine that's actually perfect for you. And you might have these mixed up associations or attitudes towards a more plant-based diet. But if you see lots of images and they've bypassed your conscious critical judgment factors of your prefrontal cortex, so you haven't argued with them and they've gone in, what's actually happening in your other than consciousness, particularly while you're sleeping, is that your brain and your thinking, your mind and your emotions and your connection to your heart, it's actually reorganizing, reorchestrating itself so that without you really actually even being aware, you will start to very naturally and organically make different choices because you have different impetus in terms of the thinking and the general feelings that you're having. So you'll reach for some activated almonds or some walnuts, or you'll actually choose avocado as a spread on, you know, something that's a foundation like a lettuce leaf instead of a piece of bread. And you won't even really know when you made that radical and dramatic change, because it just will have occurred because your identity will have changed. And if you or when you are committed to making that happen now, quickly, and making sure it sticks, then you must internalize these sessions, which means you have to upload photographs that are meaningful, significant, and personal to you, so that your ego, your identity, and the part of you that actually connects with this gets almost like this new weaving effect. And in fact, it becomes a part of who you are being. Okay, so I hope that I've made that kind of clear for you. I could go on and on and on in a workshop for an entire day, and I'm very happy to. And in fact, I should just tell you about when you're a signature member of Positive Prime, what's available to you and why that is actually the best value option for you. So let me go into that for you, okay? Our very best value subscription is at the signature level. And I'm going to help you understand why. First of all, for some people, it's really important that that's the level that activates you or qualifies you for the affiliate program. So if you are choosing to explore and experiment and share and expand your influence and reach because of Positive Prime and its income opportunity, that's going to be really key to you. So it's the foundational level if you really do want to leverage it as a tool that helps you to actually receive money from commissions that arise from your referrals actually being subscribers too. But what is it about the signature subscription that is what you may want? Well, first of all, you get everything that the lower level premium subscription gives you, which indeed means that you get 240 credits. That's like our currency every single month. And our average session is actually 120 credits. So you get to actually add 2 incredible pieces of content created by world-class thinkers and influencers and best-selling authors to your library. So you increase the novelty of content that actually is really good. We covered that a little earlier. So interestingly, in addition to that, these are the things that I love, the super mixes. That's actually a couple of sessions, usually 3 or 4 sessions that are actually merged together on a particular subject. So when you're a long-time user of Positive Prime, I'm sure that you will really appreciate this. Sometimes you'd like to watch a little bit of 3 different sessions or a little bit of 4 different or 5 different sessions on a particular topic, and you want it mixed and merged, because you don't actually want to watch each one of those sessions individually, sequentially, one after the other. Wouldn't it be fantastic if you could just mix and merge? Well, as a signature member, you actually receive enough credits and the ability, and inside your library, the super mixes. So let's just say I want to break through in business and I'm really trying to achieve a new financial goal. There is a super mix on financial mastery. Now, if I want to internalize all of the messages, I've got to heavily personalize that particular super mix. So inside that super mix, I've uploaded photographs and selected photographs that relate to my joint venture partners, the contributors, the people who've really helped me, supported me, they've assisted me, they're the people I value in my business. They could be my colleagues, my clients, my suppliers. I've gone to Google Images and I've basically gathered photographs or images of logos of clients, corporations, institutions, organizations one day that I would love to have as prospects and actually as clients. And so I use it as a combination between mixing the past and the future and having my brain collapse it and knowing that it's really just a continuum and all is possible. And so when you actually have a personalized super mix, your brain does something in terms of the way that it interacts in the quantum field that is seriously difficult to fathom. And it's not possible without this particular platform. And that's why I'm so proud of Positive Prime. Because what we've actually created and made available and what we share with you and what you use and share with others, seriously, it's that good. It really is that good, and it's world class, and there's nothing else like it on the planet, right? Nothing compares. So I can actually really put my hand on my heart and say, wow. And that's not even it with the signature membership, okay? That's subscription level, okay? All right, so it's important to me that I make available Positive Prime to some family members like my brother. I've got a great relationship with him. He's a fantastic human. He really is a fantastic human. He's a great husband and father, and he's a great son to my parents as well. But it's important to me that my brother positively primes himself. And he has 4 children and he's got a great job. And it's not that he can't afford his own subscription, it's that I love being generous. And so in the signature subscription, there's actually a family sharing component. So once you've shared your actual referral link with a family member and they've created their own free account, then you can get in contact with support at Positive Prime. And you can actually have those 2 accounts linked or tied together, and they will actually achieve the same level as you. So they will also have access to editing, to uploading, to creating their own private library of photographs that are fantastic and help them to internalize the messages as well. Not only that, But at that signature level, what you get in addition is a whole heap of extra resources. And one of the ones that I think is fantastic are these PDFs of the actual statements, the positive words that you see in any one session. So imagine there's a session about being happier. Well, as you watch Being Happy, you think, oh wow, wouldn't it be great if I could just review all of those positive statements, all 200 of them, in one PDF and slide through them as if I was reading an ebook? Wouldn't that be great? I think it'd be great. It is great, that's what we do. And we do it for literally, you've got thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of flashcards in lots of different PDFs that you have access to, but only if you're a signature member. Now, in addition to that, you actually also receive some extra courses. I've talked about my experience in the health and wellness industry, in spas, and really my expertise or speciality as a therapist and as a healer. And I don't often talk about that. You can actually go on Google and understand a lot more about that if you look at Serafini, like Serafini Angels Mind Spa, serafinimindspa.com. Anyway, inside the actual subscription, for those who are at the signature level, you actually receive an online course that I do, which is really informative, very educational and inspiring, about hydration and exercise and nutrition and sleep and all of the latest and greatest aspects of science as it relates to these subjects. And normally when I run that program one-on-one in a live environment for an exclusive health club or golf resort or health retreat, I usually charge on average around about $500 per person to do that class, that program. And so that is actually gifted to you when you are a signature member, which is incredible value. And not only that, regularly we host masterclasses with people who seriously are phenomenal, really phenomenal, and at that global level. And I want you to actually share in and apply their wisdom and their insights and their experiences. So I do these masterclasses with their guests and they present to you. And that for me is a really important part of all of the added value in a signature membership. And I could go on and on and on. I could go on and on and on. I could go on and on and on. But that's just about it for the time being. There are lots of questions that people have. So the truth is that the signature subscription is undoubtedly our very best value. And it's kind of incredible and affordable when you think about sharing it with family members. Even if you only use Positive Prime on a relatively ad hoc basis, what it actually does to you in one session, and the fact that it lasts 6 to 8 hours, means that sometimes I feel like it's a mental massage. Like I would pay to go and have a massage, and usually it's around about $100. And I know that the effects of that massage, depending upon what type of massage and depending upon the nature of my body before, like how uptight am I, how toxic am I, how stressed is my life, how overtired am I, depending upon the nature of my body before the massage and the type of massage and the length and duration of the massage will depend upon how long the impacts, the effects, the positivity lasts. And usually, if you're lucky, it's about 48 to 72 hours. And then everything basically reverts back to where it was before. So if I'm going to spend $100 on a massage and I'm going to have one of those several times a year, maybe once a quarter or maybe once a month, the reality is that what I know from a physiological reaction point of view, Positive Prime as a mind massage really is outstanding value. It's outstanding value. And we're doing more and more exploration of the ways that we can apply Positive Prime and how many other people who might really benefit from it. People with all sorts of issues, shall we say. Alrighty, so we might take a little bit of a moving into a different gear now. We might talk about why and what and how do you actually transform a session or 2 or 3 into something that literally has your other than consciousness achieving for you in the quantum field, behind the scenes, so that it's automatic for you. I'm pretty famous these days, maybe you've heard this before, of coining this concept of accessing your other than consciousness. So I think that we should all come from a common understanding. I want you to imagine an iceberg in an ocean. And you may have seen these images before about the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And most people recognize, they know this, that the bit of the iceberg that's above the waterline, that's actually the conscious mind. And that's incredibly limited when compared with what happens subconsciously. And most people know a vast majority of the iceberg is actually below the waterline. It's that which we can't see. And that's why that particular image or illustration has been used to really represent the mind when people have been really teaching about the mind. But one of the things that has been missed, and I actually got as a download, so it was just like this fleeting idea that flew in, and I had one of those ahas, was that the iceberg exists in an ocean. And if I wanted to change the quality or the nature of the iceberg, let's just say it's blue, and that could really represent feeling blue, a bit anxious, depressed, down, sad, negative, etc. What if I wanted to turn that iceberg into a pink iceberg? A little bit like fairy floss. I just got an image from being a child. Well, how much food dye would I need to pour into the ocean to turn the ocean so that the iceberg that it's bobbing around in becomes pink? Well, it's the ocean that is your other than conscious and subconscious. It's beyond. It's, interestingly enough, it's also what actually is the environment. And I'm thinking from a quantum level, I'm thinking like way out there in the universe or the multiverses. It's what your mind exists in. And that ocean, the ocean of consciousness, I'm talking about an ocean that extends, not just the water ocean, okay, the ocean that extends to all of the vastness, the emptiness, the spaciousness that is way out there in the universe, okay? All of that environment is, when we want to think about something quite esoteric about all is one and one is all, you and I, we arise out of, we are influenced by the ocean in which we are swimming in. This energetic, this frequency, this vibration that we are swimming in, that we're existing in, if we're the iceberg. And so, a quantum innovation in goal achievement and in manifestation and in changing habits is actually about how do you access and change the quality of the ocean. How do you get pink food dye and pour so much of it in that you actually change the ocean? And that's what Positive Prime does. That's the kind of easiest and most simple way I can explain that when you watch Positive Prime session, because of the number of the slides, the shuffling and the variable speed and the quality of the images and the vibration and so forth, it changes your ocean out of which you arise, and from there you create. And it's like this, you're swimming in it. And if you're a fish, you've heard this before, I'm sure, you're completely unaware of the ocean, right? That's what Positive Prime does, I want you to think, to the energy field around you. And indeed, what I've heard from lots of different people, but also some spiritual gurus and some kind of famous thought leaders like Dr. Deepak Chopra, is that inside our body and our mind, we have cells, and you all know that. But the distance between, the space between these cells and every single aspect, all of your organs and all of your systems and so forth, there is so much space that on a ratio point of view, it's actually the same amount of space between the stars that we see in the night sky. And so all of your cells exist in this ocean as well. And so when you're watching Positive Prime and you're allowing yourself this self-love ritual that is watching it on a daily basis and just pressing play and surrendering and viewing it and allowing yourself to breathe in through your nose, out through your nose, and pause for a couple of seconds. When you're doing that, you're actually creating this environment that you're creating in or you're manifesting in that is what's going to give rise to your ability and your capacity to actually achieve your goals at a completely different level. And when your other than consciousness is actually triggered or stimulated, when it's actually given these impulses of you within the content because you're commingled, it's magic. I don't know how else to describe it. It is so revolutionary. It is so amazing. It is so extraordinary. It is so exceptional that it's almost like magic. And it can't happen unless you see lots of photographs that are important to you about your life, your memories, your goals, your dreams, your desires, the highlights of your life, the aspects, your pets, whatever is meaningful to you actually ignites you. It's almost like a spark that then plays in that environment. It's deep what I'm saying, but it is why you owe it to yourself. You are worthy and deserving of watching your Positive Prime sessions that have been personalized out of your private collection every single day. I promise you, you will not recognize who you've become and who you are becoming within 6 to 12 months if you are really committed to this. And it's so enjoyable. It's so easy. It's so simple. Just press play. It's incredible. If you're a signature member and you want access to the concierge service, you can have it as an add-on. And we'd invite you, if you're a little too busy and you're not exactly tech savvy and you'd like us to actually take one of your emails with attachments of photographs that are from you and your family and so forth, and you want us to upload them on your behalf, and then you want us to go and find images. Let's just say you're actually trying to win a prize or achieve a goal. You can tell us as much as you can about that specifically, and we'll actually go and find photographs that precisely relate to that goal, and we'll upload them for you. That's our concierge service, and there are a lot of people who take advantage of it. So we would encourage you to reach out to us at support@positiveprime.com if you want that add-on as an extra to your signature subscription. Do it today. It's worth it. And once a year you can access our team and we'll do it for you. I just want to make it really clear that if you're interested in the income opportunity and being an affiliate as an independent distributor of Positive Prime, and you'd like our support and we'd love you to join us, then please know that the minimum qualification or the foundation level for the subscription that you must maintain is at the signature level. So make sure that you are a signature member, or indeed you could be a VIP, and that's actually going to activate you and keep you qualified for our really richly rewarding affiliate program. It's not just about the money flowing in, it's about the profound, important changes that you're helping others to make. It's about the incredible transformations that are going to be much more successful and enduring for those people that you care about. We are so proud of what we're doing, and we're so excited about the results that are being achieved by those who are being impacted in a really exquisite way by our affiliates. Each and every single one of our affiliates are ambassadors that we're incredibly grateful for. So I just wanted to provide that clarification in case you really needed to know. Yes, you must be a signature subscriber in order to be in the position to earn. I'm here to have a really quick discussion about the positive statements that you see inside each of our magnificent, powerful, potent programs. every single session has approximately 200 flashcards that have very specific, carefully written words that are designed to really help you to accelerate the way that you change with grace and ease and speed and hopefully a lot of joy. So interestingly enough, in every single session, you will see lots of I am statements. That's one of the first ones I want to bring to your attention. And the reason why is because we as humans have this insatiable appetite to be right. It's really a significance driver, is what they call it in some scientific circles. And what it means is that if I think that I am kind, and then my behavior is actually the opposite of that, a concept called cognitive dissonance will actually kick in. And I will very unconsciously and subconsciously correct my ways and how I'm showing up and who I'm being so that I can bring myself back into alignment with my belief about myself and my identity in the I am kind. And so one of the interesting things that we want to actually be aware of is what are we saying to ourselves and what is our monkey mind tricking us into? Like some of us say, oh, I'm so stupid. And that is the last thing that we want to be saying to ourselves if we want to live a really amazing life where we're thriving and we're flourishing and we're contributing way beyond our wildest imagination and serving in ways and showing up as leaders and inspiring others and uplifting others and so forth, and we can go on forever. The truth is that you want really empowering I am statements that help you to live into the future desired you, who you really want to be and who you're becoming. And so we really step up with these statements, the I ams. And the other thing that we also do along similar lines is that we have these universal phrases that we repeat to ourselves, like, my life is amazing and harmonious. My life is amazing and harmonious. And what actually happens is that all of the circumstances, situations, people are reorganized in our lives from a very subtle perspective in 1,000 or 1,000,000 tiny little decisions that we make and choices that we make, so that we fall into congruence with that truth. And so we actually will take millions of baby forward motions in order to ensure that that is our reality. So if you believe that your life is fantastic and that you are blessed, what you'll start to see showing up is lots more luck, you being in a fortunate situation or position, you being in the right place at the right time for the right reasons with the right people doing the right things. So what I want you to do is be very well aware of who you are when you're actually just flowing, or who you are when you're in a very intense situation, because that's often how you will see more clearly and more brightly who you are with the volume turned up. We are often projecting onto others. You know, they say you point the finger when you're in judgment, but 3 fingers point back to you. And I was just telling this quick story with somebody. It was like, you know, I really wanted to attract into my life a spouse that I respected. And what I had to do first and foremost was respect myself, really deeply, honestly respect myself. And then I had to be the kind of person who was aware of and allowed in the acknowledgement from others that made me feel like I was respected, and that I actually started to reinforce upon reflection that I am actually respectable. And of course I became in vibrational alignment or frequency with the congruence of respect. And of course it was much easier then for me to recognize and to seriously allow into my life so that I could receive somebody who I would really truly respect. And I do really truly respect my spouse. He's extraordinary, right? And I respect him for a billion different reasons. One of them is that he consciously chooses on most days to actually do something to make me laugh. He generates humor, and I value that, and I really respect him for the efforts that he makes in terms of trying to just be a little bit more lighthearted and playful and cheeky and bring laughter into our lives. So with respect to the positive statements inside each and every one of the sessions, what you'll also see is gratitude ingrained within. So you might see something like, oh, thank you for helping me to focus on what I would absolutely love. Thank you for helping me to focus on what I would absolutely love. And what that presupposes is that I recognize that there are things that I absolutely love in my life. It'll help me to attract more of the things that I would absolutely love in my life. But I am actually anchored in that emotion of gratitude. And when I'm seeing these flashcards flow really gracefully in front of me and at a speed at which I'm really relaxed and I'm surrendering and I'm allowing, and it's going into my unconscious, my superconscious, the beyond the conscious and the subconscious, and we're playing, in the other than just this conscious and subconscious part of our minds and our being. What happens, of course, is that miraculously, magnificently, majestically, life just happens to have a way of reorganizing the circumstances, the situation, the people, the places I find myself in, so that I can actually be really thankful for more and more that helps me to focus on what I absolutely love and receive what I absolutely love. What you'll also find in Positive Prime sessions is something unique and really innovative, and they are "you are" statements. And one of the reasons why is because if I say to you, "You are so kind," and I said that to you and you actually did respect me, and I'm in a position of authority, and there is a general feeling of affection or adoration or admiration, there is this goodwill between us. What'll actually happen is your consciousness and your identity will accept, you'll absorb that very generous statement that I'm making about you. And what'll happen is that you'll behave in ways to bring yourself in alignment with you keeping up with the way that you want me to perceive you. And so "you are" statements are actually really profound, they're very potent, and they're incredibly powerful, but they're very important in the work that we're doing here, in the courses that you're doing, in the programs you're consuming with Positive Prime. And that's because it really is a breakthrough. So the more that you can actually allow yourself to surrender to the "you are" statements, the more beneficial it will be for you. And if you're trying to change behaviors or change the way that you're showing up in the world or achieve more or be better or brighter, they're really going to be an advantage for you. What you will also see in the range of statements is a series of questions. Questions actually, our brain loves answering questions, all sorts of questions. People can say, "Oh, why are you so dumb?" Or "Why are you so stupid?" And guess what? Your brain will go and search for the answer and come up with it and actually reinforce to you something that is really disempowering and negative and potentially very destructive, certainly damaging. And so the greatest advice I was ever given was make sure you ask of yourself really good quality questions that has your brain go off in search of answers that will serve you. And so you will see something like, "How can I be my very best?" as one of the statements. I actually think it's in the Being Happier session. How can I be my very best? Now, what happens is that I see that as it's flashing past, flowing, and my brain goes off in search of the answer to that and comes up with something really inspired and really useful in its own time, in its own way, maybe even when I'm really asleep and there's more delta, theta, and gamma waves going on. And you know what? I will live in alignment and congruent to the answers that I come up with for myself. So I'm going to suggest to you that you spend time with people who uplift you, people who see the best in you, people who want the best for you, people who are going to help you to really reach your potential, people who recognize and reinforce your strengths, your gifts, your talents, people who celebrate you, cherish you, and will nurture you. And quite frankly, if you don't have any of those kinds of people, or many of those kinds of people in your real life, in everyday life, that's one of the reasons why you want to drop in and watch a positive prime session. See, for example, if I watch Marissa Peer's I Am Enough, I respect, admire, and adore her. And I feel like she's sitting here on my shoulder and I'm reading the statements that she has crafted based upon her very powerful work in the world, the I Am Enough work that she does. So you can go and Google who Marissa Peer is, and what you'll understand is that I need people like Marissa Peer in my life, and I love that she's in my life. And even if I can't spend physical one-on-one time with her, like in real life, in person, what I can do is spend some time with her through a positive prime session. So I can press I Am Enough as my selection in my player, and away we go. And I feel like Marissa is actually very gently guiding me, the suggestions, the recommendations, the advice, the actual changes to my identity are serving me, right? She does cherish me. She thinks I'm amazing, and she thinks you're amazing too, even though she hasn't met you, because that's just who she is. And she sees the best in you. She sees the best in me. That's who she is. And that's what she's really manifesting or bringing forth in every single life that she contributes to through her work. And I could say that by the incredible range of extraordinary people who are the experts who've created positive prime sessions and published them with us. People like Jack Canfield, and you can go through the whole list. There's so many people who offer their wisdom to you. And so each and every session, quite frankly, if you were to buy a summary of Jack Canfield's book, The Success Principles, it would definitely be worth the credits that you use in order to acquire a particular positive prime session and add it to your library. All right, so we've done I am, you are, the thank you statements, the questions for the appreciative inquiry, and what else? The global statements that we then align with. I really want you to know that when you see something that says like, I embrace patience in every moment, what happens is that you might go, oh, that's not really true for me most of the time. But what will happen is that you will gradually become the person for whom that is the truth. And that's why these statements are so carefully written. What's very interesting is that you will internalize the messages much more efficiently and effectively if, when you're reading these statements, or you're seeing these statements rather, and I'll go and explain to you in a second what the difference between seeing and reading is that when your personal photos show up commingled, interdispersed, mixed and merged with the standard content of any one of these sessions, you internalize the messages and it becomes true for you, okay? So it works for you in this lifetime, in your body, in your life, okay? So it's of paramount importance that you upload photographs of yourself, but also meaningful and significant photographs that trigger you about your life. I'll give you a perfect example. Let's just say that you love riding horses and you love horses. If you were to be in your saddle looking at your horse and you took a little quick photograph of the ears and you uploaded that, every time you see that, it triggers you. Your personal energy then actually mixes and merges. It's almost like it lassos the content and makes it real for you, right? It is impossible for that to happen unless you're actually watching a positive prime session that has been personalized, okay? So the internalizing makes this exponentially more powerful, more quickly, and more enduring and more sustainable in terms of it being an accelerated learning and change opportunity for you, okay? So I hope I've made that really clear. Now, quickly before I go, the difference between seeing and reading. So a lot of people with positive prime sessions stress themselves out, which is not our intention, having to read each of the statements. One of the reasons why what we do is not subliminal is because we're not tricking you and we're not hiding from you any of what is the stimulus or what is activating you. So you can vary the speed in the player right down to speed 1 so that you can luxuriate and indulge in every single image and statement. You can read them slowly. If you're a signature member, you actually receive PDFs that you can download that actually feature all 200 statement slides or 100 statement slides, however many actual statement frames there are or flashcards there are in any one particular session, so that you can slowly but surely absorb them. Now the problem is that most human beings, because of the way that we're wired or have been wired in a habitual self-limiting nature and the reptilian brain that really, quite frankly, because we're human and it's trying to protect us, it rejects most new information and it argues with it. And it, if it's not real for you right now, you'll almost not even allow that into your other than consciousness. And so there's this real normal difficulty with, very traditional methods of trying to change our identity and make changes in our limiting beliefs and our, way that we show up, etc. With Positive Prime, the faster you go, the more it allows something beyond your conscious and your subconscious to actually play with it, to integrate it, to allow it to actually infuse and then embed and then allow it to actually emerge as you, right? So you want to be in a very open, beautiful, relaxed state. You want to breathe in through your nose, quietly breathe out very slowly, gradually through your nose. After you've exhaled, you want to hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you want to breathe in, breathe out, etc. You want to be in a state that is really surrendering. Just allow it to flow over you, allow it to actually really infuse you. The more that you can do this and not try to read each word, but just know that because we take in 11 million bits of information per second, and depending upon what we've actually consciously decided is important to us, we've programmed our reticular activating system, we're priming ourselves for our goals. You will actually get all the messages that you need in an exquisite way. Okay, so just relax, know it is happening, it's happening for you, it's happening through you and with you, and it is a remarkable, amazing and phenomenal aspect of what we do here at Positive Prime. Yes, so there you go. That's a really intense little lesson on the words that you see in all Positive Prime sessions. Love you very much, and I can't wait to hear your fantastic stories about your awesome results. Why do you need to personalize and add in photographs of you into your Positive Prime sessions, particularly if you're using them as very advanced, sophisticated vision boards or dream boards to help you to really achieve your goals and manifest your desires, your wants, your wishes, and have your needs met? We really want you to be deeply, profoundly satisfied. So here's a crazy truth. Most people, when they create a vision board, they don't put photographs of themselves in, and so they're actually really causing, from a law of attraction or quantum physics or pure science point of view, they're causing the realization for someone else. Yup, they're actually manifesting all of that for someone else. It's a crazy, weird, wild, bizarre, very esoteric truth, but you need to know it. And do you know what? I've got about 10 or 15 other real secrets that you get to know about if you're a Positive Prime subscriber. So there is wisdom that I share in our masterclasses, in the courses that I teach, in the coaching that I provide, and nothing is more important than for you to actually draw to you and to be open to receive, and then to appreciate whilst you actually bring into reality the achievement and the accomplishment of your goals for you, the ones that you want to experience in your lifetime now through you, right? So whatever you do, Make sure there are lots of photographs of you included in each and every single session. Yes, of course, there are other videos that explain how internalizing the messages is so incredibly important, and that is indeed one of the factors. Of course, another one of the factors really is that as we integrate ourselves into the messages in every single one of the subjects, we actually have the work done on our ego and identity done really at a level that is way beyond or deeper than the conscious or the subconscious. So I would encourage you to go and watch some other videos that I've done that I share about those little subjects. It's a little shortcut for you or a hack for you. Oh, should I tell you one more? Oh, okay. All right, so we have about 50 to 80,000 thoughts a day, right? In order for you to overpower what scientists called ANTs, automatic negative thoughts, of which there are about 50 to 60%, that would be, 25,000 unhelpful, disempowering, negative, limiting beliefs every single day. You seriously have to have a vision board that has thousands of photographs, all right? Thousands of images about your ideal, about your desired. And seriously, what you're also going to want is for your ego or identity to recognize that you do have strengths, gifts, and talents, and you have had experiences where you have accomplished or achieved what it is that you set your mind to. So you must have photographs in your future orientation that is reinforced by previous successes. So if you've got a memory of an exquisite moment that was really significant to you, make sure you have a photograph of that kind of situation uploaded into your private collection and edited into one of your positive prime sessions. It's going to make it significantly, I'd say exponentially more potent and powerful. So good luck to you, and I can't wait to hear all of your incredible stories of exceptional results, fantastic, enduring, positive results. You know, I'm often asked why vision boards don't really work for me, whoever it is that's talking to me, and I'll say, well, the truth is that sometimes when we think about what it is that we want or need, we're actually coming from a state where we're really anxious or worried or fearful or frustrated or disappointed, or just quite frankly angry, and we've lost hope, or we're in despair. And our mood, how we're emotionally feeling, will actually really affect our attitude and indeed our faith or our trust in the future being brighter and better. What is fantastic about positive prime sessions is that when you have uploaded your own personal photographs that represent your future vision, goals, dreams, etc., you're actually going to have those commingling, mixed and merged amongst all the standard content. But the standard content adheres to our secret formula that has been scientifically proven that actually works to ensure that your brain is positively primed, your state is actually impacted and influenced, and you're in an improved mood when you're actually seeing the photographs that are a part of your vision board. So a lot of people actually project very unwittingly, unknowingly, certainly I very much doubt that they intend it, all of this negativity, sadness, fear, worry, anxiety, anger, disappointment, disillusionment towards their vision board without even knowing what it is that they're doing, because they're in this state of being where sometimes the way that we know that we want something is because we're actually faced with the opposite of it. You know, I hear it over and over and over and over and over again. On your vision board, you might want prosperity and abundance and financial freedom, etc., etc., more income, you want to make more money, you want to receive riches from somewhere. Well, often we don't want those things unless we're desperately fearful or frustrated about our finances, or we, are really in a state of being petrified, or we're in grief, or we're in shame around money. So all of that irkiness, right, that's actually going to be infused into the vision board because you're reaffirming to yourselves all the time. Maybe it's debt, and that's actually why you want to make lots of money.
A vision board that's only got 20, 30, 40, 50 photographs in it, it's not going to cut it. There's not enough weight to it, right? It's not significant enough. It's not overpowering enough. And so the magic of Positive Prime is that it gets you into positively primed state within 3 minutes, and then you actually see all it is that you want, and you come from a place where, let's just say, for example, the session that you're watching is being published by an author who you really respect and admire, and it's infused with their positivity. So actually the standard content already has this vibrational frequency, this flavor to it that is really empowering and of a much more expansive possibility for you. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's really important that you think about the mood that you're in. Turn some music on, move your hips, do a little bit of movement, maybe remind yourself of what you're really grateful for. That's one of the other reasons why we say always, 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 when you're a subscriber, and you all know that the signature subscription is the best value one, you want to make sure that all of your private collection of personal photographs that you've edited into each of the sessions have to be these reminders of how grateful you are. So if you're really grateful for a memory, for an experience in your life, make sure you have a photograph, a representation of that, because it will remind you. And in a very esoteric kind of way, in a very beyond what's conscious and subconscious, you will actually feel more grateful, which of course raises your vibration and frequency and puts you in a better mood, a better state in order to create more. And so it's really this wonderful ripple effect that's created when you have photographs, not only just of the things that you desire to acquire, but also anything that really helps you to feel how lucky you are, how blessed you are, how fortunate you are, and how much you appreciate yourself and your life. When you personalize your Positive Prime sessions and you're uploading photographs into your private collection, make sure that you have some photos from your past as well as your future. You don't want to be too future orientated. First of all, we want you to be really content with being present in the here and now. That's very important. It's a great spiritual truth that is worth remembering. But also you want to manifest from a state of having instead of not yet or perhaps. I'll give you an example. When we feel like we're really blessed or we're really fortunate, we have this feeling that we're so very lucky. And what we find is that we get even luckier in life because we've primed our reticular activating system to notice the opportunities and the experiences in our lives that help us to feel even more grateful and appreciative. And of course, that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So when you want to manifest more love, more money, more energy, where you want to come from is a state or a feeling, an emotion of having. You want to be able to assure yourself that you have, in fact, the money or the energy or the love. I've got 1,000 stories from thousands of our really early members about this, and so many of my own, and some incredible ones from some of my clients. I'll give you just a little example. Before I'd really attracted the man of my dreams into my life and had the most exquisite, romantic, intimate relationship of my life, which is my current relationship with my beautiful other half, my spouse, I remember that I wanted to manifest love, deep, real, genuine, sincere, true love. And yet I didn't feel like I had it in my life at that point, of course, because I really didn't. But I wanted to be in vibrational alignment, and I want to be congruent with that type or kind of love, the nature of that love. So I thought about, in what other ways am I loved? Loved, really genuinely, wholesomely, honestly loved. And for me, I actually had personal photographs that reminded me that Mother Earth loves me, that my parents love me unconditionally. Now, it's a different kind of love than, of course, the romantic, intimate love, but I started to think about, how am I just profoundly loved? And for me, it was my connection to the divine. For some people it's God, and for some people it isn't. But for me, I just reminded myself of just how incredibly loved I am by the universe. And in being and feeling loved, what of course I did was I attracted love and a match to being loved. So for example, if you want to manifest from a state of having riches, you definitely want to remind yourself of what is really truly rich in your life. Now, could it be the flavors in a meal that you have? Could it be the nutrients in the food that you eat? What's really rich in your life? And the more that you can feel rich, the more you will attract more riches, and that which represents riches or is perceived as riches by you and your sub and other than consciousness, right? So if you're trying to manifest from something that is coming to you but hasn't yet arrived, you don't want to hold it in that never space of it always may be coming but actually never here, right? It's a little shortcut or hack or tip for you. I hope it's been worthwhile. I cannot wait to hear your amazing stories. If anything, just drop in and watch a Positive Prime session today and make sure that you reward yourself and your brain. The brain loves novelty. From a neuroscience point of view, we actually know this. Your brain loves novelty. It needs it. So upload a fresh photo today and renew your commitment to your personalized Positive Prime experience. We're so grateful for you. We actually believe in balance, or I do. And so our platform is actually programmed to reward you with up to 15 credits maximum per day. And that's because we don't really want people sitting around watching Positive Prime sessions all day, every day, and not actually out there taking action and being intentional and making things happen for themselves, right? So it's not all about manifesting in a cave, in a mountain as a monk and hoping, wishing that things are going to positively change for you in an enduring way. No. There's a lot of action. Really intentional, magical action where there's serendipity and synchronicity and coincidences that are a part of the story. However, the point is that we actually really am going to encourage you to watch a maximum of 3 sessions a day. And that means that you receive a total of a maximum of 5 credits per session per day. And then it renews. So if you watch 6 sessions in any one day, you won't receive any more than 15 credits. And that's so that we make it fair, and also so that we're reasonable, and so that we're encouraging responsible use. We actually definitely want you to really luxuriate in the process of a Positive Prime session. We want you to indulge and allow, and of course we want you to really absorb the benefits. And so what's healthy as a recommendation is that you watch a maximum of 3 sessions a day. You watch each session for a minimum of 3 minutes run time. The best is probably somewhere between 5 or 10 minutes in run time. The standard is actually set at 15 minutes run time. And that's actually because you're worth it. You really are worthy and deserving of being positively primed and having this phenomenal tool that really is remarkable work for you right now. And so the best thing for you to do is actually just really relax and enjoy it and give yourself the time and the space to luxuriate in it. So I hope that's made it really clear for you. For those of you who don't know, the average standard content, 1 session is usually priced at 120 credits. So you can acquire a new session with 120 credits. All of our premium subscribers, of course, and our signature subscribers and our VIPs, they actually are gifted with 240 fresh credits every single month so that they can actually add 2 new sessions to their library. The brain, as I said, loves novelty from a neuroscience point of view. So it's really important that you consume a range of subjects that are offered in the Positive Prime shop. So have fun and choose a subject that you probably, or a topic that you probably maybe wouldn't ordinarily or normally choose, and just see what happens. We're sure that you're really going to benefit from it. The advantages are here for you and me, all of us, and we want you to really make sure that you thrive and you flourish. Thanks for being with us, and please share Positive Prime with people that you love. Ciao.